Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, Twitch chat. Welcome back to Let Us Play. I am your host, Father Evans. Good to see you all today. Good to see a Brayherd. Good to see a Step Zero. Good to see a Kit. Good to see a Bacon. And congratulations, Brayherd. You have the crown of Firstendom this day. The crown of the gym, which is probably good because you do go to the gym, do some jujitsu. Or do you do judo? No, you do jujitsu. Anyway, it's good to be with y'all today. Glad to see everyone can still count. Two-word bird. And thank you for the lurk, Bacon. We're going to be playing more Minecraft, so let's go ahead. Let's dive on into it. So I did a little bit of work off camera. Not a ton, just some... I made some more... I'll grab those. A lot more glass, as you can see. Grabbed a few other materials. And I laid out kind of where the glass needs to be. And I made doors. But I constructed part of this wall and then laid out the first parts of those walls. And then I changed parts of these circles to red so they'd be more like a Pokeball. And I built this bridge. Pretty happy with this bridge, so I need to build another on the other side. Because the idea is that, like, you can enter... No, a little too far. Why do you have two gyms? I'm just special that way. Hey, Renai. Yeah, this is a good texture pack. It's the Complimentary Unbound, and I made these because they're nice amenities to have in a gym. Did a little bit of work off camera. Yeah, just a wee bit. It's not. Trust me, it's not that much. But the real reason I have two gyms is the first gym I built is too high. It's up there in the mountains. You can see just a little bit of its dome right there below my cursor. The Pokemon don't spawn up there. There's a height limit. And, yeah. Build 6 more, become the league. No. I just represent... See, the thing I can do to get away with is in this server, I am the bug and ice gym leader, so I have one for my ice type and one for my bug type. And then I believe Kevin is working on the owner of the server, Kevin the Space Penguin, is working on the Elite Four area. Now, I think I should have enough glass to finish all the walls, but I don't think we'll have enough to finish the top, because, like, we'll make a mild dome, like it's going to be a square dome. It's voila. And then I guess we'll need corners built up like that. Build all the gyms, get hired out by it. Well, some of the other gym leaders already have their gyms built. Every gym leader is totally not the same person. I feel like that's something... Oh, what was his name? Larry? The guy in Scarlet Violet who is both a gym leader and on the Elite Four. I feel like it's something he would do. Igglybuff, you have chosen the wrong fight. I don't know why these Igglybuffs are so violent. Ow! What? Are the Pokemon getting swole? Well, I think they're going to show off their swollenness. Good to see you, Inca. But yeah, now you can kind of see what this gym... What I had in mind for the geometry of this gym, and I really dig it. Uh-oh. I don't know if I'm prepared for Swoliel to come to the gym. No one's prepared for Swoliel. Wow, I really need new armor. But it impersonates all the other gym leaders. I can make Hal noises, so I can impersonate Hal at his gym. Oh. It's full Gengar. Oh no, Jish is here. Is Jish in this server? I can't remember. I can't remember who's been added and who hasn't. Kajor, making us silly. So unlike you. Yeah. So anyway, how's the scoreboard? Oof. 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 I had... Yeah, I think we will have enough to finish this one section. I wonder if I can make it to the water. Hey, Greg. You wouldn't know. That's fair. Ow! I overshot. my ankles. Get back to Texas with your ex's last cop. Can I make a wall that is a waterfall? I mean, kind of? Waterfall, wall, wonder wall. Wake up, sheeple. will not wake up. My bed is quite comfy. Oh, well. Go back to bed, sheeple. Ow! I undershot this time. Your sheeple? You were activated. You got stabbed in the neck. Oh dear. I'm going to assume this was a medical event. And not just like a random... I hope not just like a random stabbing. Steroid injection. Okay, so... It's not fun by any means. But it wasn't just like some dude come up and be like, yeah. If it didn't start as a medical event, it would become one. Fair enough. I somehow thought I'd have a little more glass. Bird try. Okay, that's pretty good, though. That's all but two... That's 1.5 corners left to do. Waterfall. It would save on glass, but then things could get in and out with ease. And then there'd be the problem of where the water goes. Because water in Minecraft behaves weirdly. Sheep are the source of clothing for meeples. Let's put that chicken away. Grab that, and then... What was the other thing I want? Ah, right, I need to make... Things you expect to hear. I'm building this, so I'll put this chicken away. Yeah? I mean, you're not wrong. There we go. That should turn everything. Inca, that's, yeah. Technology be like that. There we go, and that's kind of the architectural design for the corners. And then we'll have kind of like a ring of quartz along here, and then a dome kind of straight up, and then a very shallow inward. Put away one of those buckets. The extra bucket was actually making it harder. You got a new job? That's awesome. Congrats. Weird stuff. Thank you for the follow. Getting startled by my own follow alert. Rotda. I looked at the readings. I came up with something. What was it? No, it's my boss's 26th anniversary of priesthood, so... Yeah, that's looking good. Oh, today's the Feast of St. Austin. I missed that. But in today's gospel, it's a very classic, kind of be careful what you ask for sort of thing, because the mother of James and John is like, give them the seat of honor. And Jesus is like, you don't know what you're asking. I mean, it's going to happen, but you don't know what that means. But I was thinking, kind of, in light of that and how we live into that as Christians, and what that means. And I was struck particularly this morning because one of my brothers is going in for surgery. And so he asked that another brother anoint him, give him anointing of the sick before that happens. And so after morning prayer, we celebrated that together. We prayed together. It was beautiful. But this guy is, he's older. He's not super old, but he has a great sense of peace about him in terms of like going into this surgery. And he, I think, lives into the call of following Christ that the mother, James and John, didn't necessarily quite understand in the moment. Ordained brother. I live with about 20 other priests. Hey, Guri. Which saint would be most okay to be called bro? Oh! My gut reaction is Francis of Assisi. I feel like you could very easily be like, "What up, bro?" I feel like Philip Neri would probably also get a kick out of being called bro, but like, I have one sibling. Oh, Carlo Acutis. I could see Carlo Acutis being called bro. Or calling some. I could see him having just be like, bro! Thomas Aquinas being 6 feet scares you. He was a big guy. Just in general. Like, he had a custom-made desk so that he could actually sit at it. Am I bug jimming? I am. This is where the Okipas go. Because in this universe, my character's name is Major Okibna Schnegg. Okibna is like, it means bug, but it's like computer bug. So it's a play on words. Back from vacation, unpacking, doing laundry, need a vacation. I mean, may I recommend the permanent cruise option? That one seems to be quite popular with some people. Ow. Yeah, send monies, yes. What monies? Okay. That's pretty good. That's That's those corners sorted out for the most part. Just need the glass. Have you ever met another priest that plays video game? Yes, there are a couple here on Twitch, actually. But one of my Paulus brothers is also a gamer, and we've compared notes on that. He's more of a like MMO kind of guy, but okay. So I want to put in some benches because, again, while this is a gym, it's also a not terrarium. Well, I guess terrarium, but like botanical garden, greenhouse. So I feel like it should have benches. So what if we put them what if we put in benches like that? That way you also have somewhere to sit while you watch. Kaz, help you in crochet. I thought you were unpacking and doing laundry. Yeah, no, he wasn't like I'm trying to remember what MMO it was. It was a kind of a smaller one. So when we're all done building this, we'll also put in trees and flowers. We're going to make this feel not crowded, but full. Okay, I need to go get quartz, which I have somewhere in storage, which, well, we did put things away from storage last time. It's not been organized. So let's go see if we can find it. There, you can see the other gym's dome right there. Very different design aesthetics. One is a botanical garden. The other is a missile silo. Okay, we have all this clay, which we could do something with. We could fire the clay into terracotta. There's the other vid chokes. I was looking for those. Oh well. Okay, let's go to overflow storage. I thought I had more quartz left than this, to be honest. Okay, well, we need to go on some adventures. because we need to go shopping for sand, and we need to go shopping for quartz. Yeah, check that out, though. It looks like a real poker ring at a gym. Okay, so we're going to go get the sand first so that I can throw it into the furnaces while we're in the nether getting quartz. I only have one spoon. I should have made more spoons. It's that time again. Hey, Mel. Will my meat be liturgically correct? Let's see. You actually have a pretty good chance today because there's 2 times. Hey! Liturgically correct. I believe white would have also been acceptable because it is the optional memorial of St. Austin, and I'm pretty sure he was not martyred. Time to have a fight. Wait, what color is that? Technically it's green. It's just that because I use a green screen effect to block out the background because they're GIFs that are being played, and otherwise it would just be like a gray square or whatever with them. The point is that the green gets chroma keyed out. And I thought by making it a bright green that the green of the vestment would be fine. I was wrong. Yeah, he's become the Invisalign. Wait, I can make another spoon. I have one piece of iron on me that was left in a random spot. Yes, okay. Now we have to find a crafting bench. But there's a village here. I see one. Interview tomorrow at 10. Hey, that's awesome. Prayers that it goes well. Ooh, which saint is most relatable to me? I guess it depends on how you define relatable to me. I mean, Philip Neri is one of my personal favorites because of his sense of humor. I look up to a lot of the Fools for Christ. Like, is it Simeon the Stylite? Or is it Jacob this? I forget his first name, weirdly enough. I know he's the Stylite, because, meaning he lived on top of a pillar. But that's not really like a lived experience relatable. I don't know, some of the apostles are pretty relatable, with both being called to mission and also not always getting it. Who's Simeon? That's what I thought, but I always feel like I screw it up. I'm bad with names. This is my proof. I can't even remember the names of some saints that I like. Was the favorite icon that I own? Probably. I have several icons. I think that's going to be a toss-up between... I have one of the Resurrection that's a triptych that my spiritual father from seminary gave me. And then I have one, it's called Christ the Pantocrator, the All-Creator. And standing, sitting, and the Greek in the book that he's holding in his hand is I am the way, the truth, and the life. And it was like one of the first things in Greek that I learned to read. So it's quite mean. I like that line, so it's special to me in multiple ways. Carlo Avacutis. I mean, that's kind of how last names work. Christina the Astonishing. I have not heard that epithet for a saint. I need to look into this. This is amazing. Sorry, it's astonishing. I remember I was at a confirmation once, and one of the people took the name Moses the Black, which, first of all, awesome. Moses the Black is an amazing saint, so 10 out of 10, no notes. But the priest doing the confirmation, because it wasn't a bishop, it was a priest, he's reading the name Moses the Black. Nice. Moses the Black, I confirm. Or be sealed with the gift of the Holy Spirit. I haven't done a ton of confirmations. In fact, I can count the number of confirmations I've done on one hand. That's why the my offhand thought of, or my instinctual response was wrong. Yeah, I'll have to look into her story when I'm not streaming. Do you even need a hand to count them? You know what I mean when I'm talking about that proverbially. Like, I have administered the sacrament of confirmation to 4 people. St. Gertrude of Nivellas. That's a name. Oh, she is the patron of cats. That's right. Another great name of a saint I didn't know about until I was doing the confirmation is Judicar. Ever touch someone's tongue by accident? Oh, yeah. Occupational hazard. I was going to say it's probably rare for... Well, we still have parishes. Like, I am still connected to a parish, even if I'm not on staff there. So... Yeah, it depends on the situation. So, like, one year, when I was... Because I originally started here at Busted Halo part-time at the parish. The Easter Vigil that year, we had so many people, and it's only grown each year since, that we decided... And you can do this, absolutely allowed. We looked into this and researched it and went through the books to make sure we were doing it completely legal. But you can, if there are multiple priests at an Easter Vigil, you can split up how you handle the confirmations. You have to be careful about it because you're technically the person who baptizes is supposed to confirm. So, like, we had to arrange people appropriately, but when there is a sufficient amount of people to be confirmed, multiple priests are allowed to help confer. Some people bite. Yeah. Not often, but they tend to just... It's less that they bite, it's more that they're very eager. There are a lot of niche saints. Theotokos is a good Marian title. I think, Favorite title? That's a tricky one. It's like there's different levels of how the titles work, too. It gets complicated. I'm a fan of Our Lady of Sorrows and / any title of consoling. I can't even see you. Theotokos is definitely a good one, though. It's not a... It's sort of a title of Mary. It's not like how we use titles in the West, but in the East, the name of an icon is... Oh, time to go. That is not the name of the icon. It's just a big man after me. And I'm not wearing any gold. The names tend to come more of what the name of the icon is. So there's like Philogulus, Philogulusa, something like that. The Sweet Kiss. I'm a fan of those icons. Or Our Lady of Perpetual Health. That is a title, but is also the name of the icon. Yeah, Endurance of Knots is a really nice devotion. I'm glad to see that it has grown so much in recent years. Do I think the age of confirmation should be lowered? Yeah, I'm in favor of the restored order, as it's come to be known, which I think is a little bit of a weird title, but you know, the only downside to that is that we will probably lose the unique character that the Roman Rite is the only church that anoints people twice with chrism. that's like such a niche little detail that, you know. Looks like I said hello, left a meme, declared myself a Roman Catholic, and filthy papist, gave my blessing, and left the Discord. What? Oh yeah, no, I'm on Discord. I have it. I have a whole server tied to this channel. Oh, your friend accidentally invited you to Discord server, Religious Orthodox Church in St. Louis area. Oh, well, I don't know why you necessarily had to leave right away. I got I forget what server it was, but I joined some server, and Father Roderick was on it technically. Like, he wasn't active there a whole lot, and he wasn't online at the moment. But still, just seeing his name was kind of like, oh, because he's kind of like a big pioneer in the priestly media space, and he's just a really nice guy. It was parish planning stuff. Oh, okay. Ow. Oh, that's why I'm like, why am I not flying? Oh, I fell off my dude. I probably want about a stack and a half of quartz blocks. I'm sure the Discords you're in. Oh, is there a priest in there who is a bishop-elect? Well, I know there's a reputation of clergy not knowing how to use tech, and sometimes that's valid, but we also try to embrace it as means of evangelization. That they all use WhatsApp. WhatsApp is very popular. I don't like WhatsApp. I don't know why. I don't really have like a good reason. I just have never liked using it. Oh, they need to elect one. Oh, okay. Ow! Ow! Stop it! Yeah, I know a number of what young adult groups that use WhatsApp. Like in LA, our parish has one, but then like the whole LA area just has a Catholic young adult WhatsApp where they just like each individual parish will post like what they're up to and invite folks in, which I think is really cool. All the priests you know on Discord just want to be parish priests. Well, what about me? I mean, I'm not on that Discord. Oh, that's lava. All the secular priests. Ah, okay. Fair enough. Secular clergy is one of those titles. Like, I get why that is the title that is used and makes sense. But it's just, if you don't know the lingo and you get told secular clergy, it's like, it sounds like such an antonym. Stacey's young adult server. Ah, oh, that's cool. Yeah, when I was on staff here, I tried getting the young adult group to use a Discord for the community. Was not successful, but was successful in getting them to use it because previously their means of communication was a single group chat on Facebook Messenger. Gotta get all the quartz. But I'm getting all the quartz that's easy to get. What is going on here with this purple field? What is this biome? Is this Minecraft or is this a mod? It's a mod. Okay. You're on a road trip. Well, safe travels. I hope you have a good time. Have fun in Redacted. I don't know who's going to have more of a heckin' concern in the car, the mouse or the dog. Ow. Pokemon down here are so rude. Hey there, Hope. Oh, that's lava. Time to run, time to run, time to run, time to run, time to run. Get those materials and get out of here. A good stack. They have so many levels. Ooh. Real nice pocket. Ow. Ow, I didn't mean to light myself on fire. I disagree, game. This is not how these events transpired. Okay, we have one stack of quartz block so far. Why did I want to do this in quartz again? Right, because it's kind of a certain opulence befitting the aesthetic. Ow! Oh, no. Those are actual problems. Those are... I just lost all those levels. I can get everything else back. That's fine. Not the levels. Well, the levels are good because I need them to upgrade my backpack more and enchant some things because I don't have good enchanted stuff. And as soon as it took me a moment to register for some reason. Like, I looked at it, I'm like, oh, it's a skeleton, but it's like dark. I guess it's in shadow. Wait, no, that's another skeleton. I should get on my Heracross and fly away. And by the time I realized that, I was dead. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. You're on vacation! You're on a road trip. Wait, who's driving? You can't both be in chat and chatting. Which one of you is driving? Please tell me the one who isn't driving just has both phones. Oh, you're stopped for a rest break. Okay, that's also acceptable. Onward to my body. I was actually pretty far away. Like half a kilometer. Let Heracross regain some energy. Now we're gonna get back out of here. Let's... Well, maybe not right away. Don't want another nether skeleton surprising me. I didn't realize that was... I guess that it's that mod biome allows them. Because normally they only spawn in the fortresses. That's so dark. I really need a new capture card. I'm fairly certain my capture card is just dying. And that's why everything's so dark. Ow. Okay, this Ghastly just came in screaming. And Throat Chop's super effective, even though it doesn't have a throat. I don't know, Flare Blitz, I guess? Oh dear, that's a ghast. I am aghast at this ghast. Ow. After your stream, have a good stream. Okay, bye. Hope you have a good vacation. Sounds like a lot of people are going on vacation. Is gasoline cheaper in Minecraft? Ow, ow. I don't think we have a mod pack with gasoline installed. Although economists are stunned to learn that Warhammer 40k players have not noticed the increase on gas prices. They say paying $100 for a tank is normal. I'm sad now because I'm a Warhammer player. Are 40k players better prepared than the rest of us? No. So you buy anything, your Chaos Predator was $60? Oh, so you bought something like last year, based on how GW raises their prices each year. Man, I was talking with Kevin the Space Penguin today. He was surprised to learn that I played Warhammer. And he was showing me the stuff that he's interested in because he's just getting into it. And he showed me a picture of some Imperial Guard and their vehicles, and I did not recognize the vehicles at all. They have changed that much. And I felt so unk, as the kids say. So whatever evaporates instantly in the nether, do water-type Pokemon take damage in the nether? I'm gonna go with no, hopefully. Champagne Avalugg seemed fine. It has changed. You don't like how it's changed. Look, I started in 5th ed. I know people who started before me. You know how to use the phrase "unk." Just use it usually to describe you. No offense. It's just that's how children behave. Ice exists just fine in the nether. Well, yeah, it's not water. Steam also exists in the nether. I don't see the problem. Some of my Pokemon are ice type. Champagne is water ice. No, I'm out of storage space. Okay, so do I leave these as normal blocks of quartz, or do I want to make them like quartz bricks, which have like a little pattern on them, or pillars? Scribes Pierce in your group. Oh, those poor kids. Like, maybe we do... Maybe we do, like, 3 of these in a corner. And the rest as plain quartz. Because what I'm thinking is we could cap like that. And then plain quartz across. And here it'd be Right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. But one of the nice things about quartz is it does have a slight border around it. As you can see, there's like a darker gray border. So it looks, you can see kind of individual blocks, whereas the concrete is smooth. So I think that adds some visual interest at a distance. I think we'll have just enough quartz because we still have 10 blocks left in the storage. Yeah, 10 will be just about right. We have 8 blocks. We have slightly less than I thought, but I think it's still enough. Yeah, I like that. I like how it's, like, floating. Like, you almost think there's a connection there, but there isn't. Let's bring in some flowers and things for decoration. So we can clear out a little bit of storage space. Add some lily pads. Add one right under the bridge. That seems... Oh no, I can't place one there. Ah! It's because of how Minecraft calculates blocks. Because this has like a full block height for things placed on top of it. We'll add some trees probably behind each of these benches. Just raise the slab to the next block. No, then that ruins the bridge. Look how nice this bridge looks. Got its railings and everything. This bridge is OSHA approved. I have more flowers I can throw in there. See, the key to making it look good is just to randomly throw it around and just hope for the best. Give me your roses. I don't even have to paint the roses red. Ow, 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 ow. Stupid sweet berries. Ow, ow, ow. I only have a helmet left. Silverfish? No, just sweet berries. They have pointy thorns. Where did I put that scaffolding? Oh, it's still in my inventory. That's why I can't find it. Okay, so after we sleep, we'll start working on the upper dome portion. Which will probably actually have iron bars behind all of it, just to look like a support structure. I'm going to start by placing this border all the way around. I'm going to need way more iron. That sounds like an off-camera Father Evan problem. So you see, this is what we'll have. And this will go up about, I guess, probably just 2 layers. Probably just 2 layers, because it's already pretty tall. Or maybe it just has it around this one ring, and then the other layer of glass doesn't have it. I want to finish these outer portions of glass before I forget, and while I have some glass. That corner into the opposite corner. The opposite corner had nothing built up. I'm going to build this in a bit of an interesting way in that I want it to come kind of to a tapered point in the center. And because it's curved and square at the same time, that means there's going to kind of be a seam. So I'm not going to build from here out. I'm going to kind of build from the center portion outward, and kind of work my way to the edges, to the seams as they unfold. So I think this should be up by 1, and then probably go in by 2s. For a couple of them, and then go in by 3. It's me, Whalmer! Oh, I love Whalmer. How you doing? Welcome on in. Whalmer's a great Pokemon. I should go catch one. Okay, so where? Okay. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks left. So that's 2 more things of 3. I just used the wrong pickaxe. Oh, I'm doing well. The followers out is a jump scare. It is. It gets me every time. How you doing, Squirrel? So I think I'm gonna do this up as 2. For your pants turning skinny jeans. Oh, I don't think that's in corporate dress code. I kind of want the center square to be up by 1 more. I'm doing pretty good. And Mithril. So we'll have that kind of be the center point of this pyramid. And we're going to actually make that itself kind of like a little metal cap. So I feel like that's what I remember seeing when I looked at the Peter the Great botanical garden. I'm kind of building on vibes now. Who needs a reference image when you've got imagination? Maybe there are reasons I didn't become an engineer. Yeah, I talked a bit about the encyclical, not a ton. I haven't had a chance to read it myself yet, but I have read some snippets and some summaries, and, you know, I mean, it sounds like a pretty good encyclical to me. Used to wear a suit every day to work, lasted 1 year. I actually wouldn't mind wearing a suit, but I know everyone's different, but it definitely would not match the streamer vibe. Maybe that could be someone's gimmick on Twitch. They only ever stream in like full white tie. Every lunch was a challenge. Ooh, yeah, that's fair. Make some spoons because we need more sand. This is the Kevin and Hal server with the Pokemons. Why don't you kids go play your Pokemans on your Nintendo? I'm the first person to ever actually get your name right? Oh, that's disappointing. It helps that I am in a Pokemon mindset, though, given that this is a Cobblemon server. In X-Cube, we're a playbox or a game station. Excuse me, I play on the game station 7. Smooth camera tilt. Yeah, honestly, the flying mechanic on these Pokemon is really smooth and can make some really nice camera sweeps. Like that. How many stacks do you think we'll need? It's actually a surprisingly large building. But as we build this up, we'll need less and less per layer, so... You've come with a religious question. I don't think that's an ulterior motive at all. What's your question? Oh, it's going to be a long question. Well, well, well. Okay, so St. Thomas Aquinas didn't believe in the Immaculate Conception, if what I'm hearing is true. Obviously, this is required church teaching belief, though, yet obviously he is also a saint. If my first point is true and that he didn't believe it, how does the church reconcile a saint had a very different belief in teaching? Sure, okay, so a few things. One, I think he made a pretty cogent argument for it, if I recall correctly. And two, there's a historical matter because the dogma of the Immaculate Conception wasn't formally defined and required as church belief until the 19th century. You know, and so in that sense, we cannot hold a saint in their earthly life to a later understanding of the development of doctrine. Um, it'd be like asking, how many sacraments are there? Well, there's 7. Well, according to Augustine, there were over 200 sacraments. And so we can understand where someone is in their historical timeline and the reality that, sometimes meaning and context can change and matters a lot. But for something like that as a dogma, again, we cannot, because it just logically doesn't make any sense to try and hold someone who dies 5 centuries at least, or about 6 centuries actually, I guess, before something is officially promulgated, to be like, uh-oh, they didn't believe in that. It's like, well, it wasn't required in a sense. Again, I seem to recall learning that he had a pretty cogent argument for the Immaculate Conception. So grandfather didn't? Yeah, I mean, it's... What a saint means... What sainthood means as well is also an important thing, because what it means is that we believe that they are in heaven, in union with God in his glory. That does not mean that they had to be perfect on earth. Like, in fact, quite a few lives of the saints prove that they are not. And a lack of knowledge in particular is not a fault of his. It was not a required belief. I think it's a great question, by the way. If Pope Leo came out tomorrow with a papal proclamation of exercising papal infallibility to declare a new dogma, like, it would not be like, and it was not something that St. Thomas Aquinas wrote about. I was like, okay, well, that's just how history unfolds. Yeah, but even not no saint, because Mary, but saints themselves had their struggles throughout their lives, and like they lived lives of what the criteria that is used in the canonization process is a life of heroic virtue, and part of virtue means trying. It doesn't mean always succeeding. There is definitely an element by which we do expect some success. If someone never does anything of heroic virtue, it's like, well, then I'm not going to consider them a formal saint. But because someone struggled and had their flaws doesn't mean that we don't. And it's holding that tension that they are still a good person who is seeking God and lived that life of heroic virtue, but also is a human being and had faults. But I think, particularly with the question kind of orthodoxy, lowercase o, of the saints, is that in some ways it has to be measured by their time and by what the church as a community believed and understood. No saints would qualify this, but saint who died in 80 AD to hold to Bible canon. Exactly. No, I think that's a great comparison. You know, if we were to interview that, like somehow bring that saint through and be like, so is Tobit scripture? They'd be like, no, I don't think so. It's like, you know, like there's some very precise and technical language around the Trinity, for example. You know, the concept of the eternal begetting of the Son, the procession of the Spirit. But I dare say, if you put some of that in front of an apostle, they may kind of scratch their head and go, what? You know, and also saints, while we do hold the teachings of saints to be important, particularly doctors like Aquinas, does not de facto mean that anything a saint says is eternally true and what did I screw up? Okay. That's what I screwed up. You know, just because a saint is a doctor doesn't mean that everything they ever taught is infallible. You know, there are things in the Summa Theologica that we look at and go, we understand where Aquinas is coming from, but we don't hold that as a church. Case in point, the Sacrament of Orders. He argues in the Summa Theologica that priesthood is itself the end of the sacrament of holy orders, and that episcopacy is not part of the sacrament of orders, but is an exercise, or gives allowance, essentially, to fully exercise one's sacramental character. Whereas our church teaching today, if you open the catechism, is that the episcopacy is part of the sacrament of orders. Yeah, stuff would take a while to be written down. I mean, the letters of Paul, I mean, I cannot imagine that every community had every letter on day one. I mean, we technically are missing a letter. It is what I guess would be called the 0th letter to the Corinthians. I'm pretty sure it's Corinthians. But there's a line in it where he's like, in the previous letter I sent you. And we're like, great, we know he sent a previous letter. That's all we know. Zeroth Corinthians goes kind of hard. But, you know, it's kind of one of those Holy Spirit moments where it's like, well, if we don't have it, and it's not in the canon of Scripture, then you know, God maybe didn't want it in there. Like Secret Boss in Kingdom Hearts. I am the 0th letter. You must defeat me to find the true Kingdom Hearts. Okay, so I kind of want this to be kind of squared. I don't want this to become just circles here. So what I'm thinking is that we will have a seam like this. So at each layer, and then like this one comes out. To here. So it's more like a step pyramid in some ways. You know, I think let me double check something. Yeah. So a great example of how we can hold someone to be a saint, but also not necessarily follow and teach all of their theological writings is Saint Offerhat. He was a Syrian or Persian saint in the 3rd century. And he's really cool because he represents sort of Christianity right on the border of the empire. So kind of like he has like 1 foot in the Greek mindset, 1 foot in the Semitic mindset. So just like in that way, he's really cool and interesting. But among his teachings is how he understood death and the soul. He believed that the soul would remain kind of in the bones of the person, and that the spirit would go, or a spirit, it's kind of unclear if he meant the Holy Spirit or a spirit, would go and beseech God at his throne on your behalf. That does not match any of our modern theology and understanding of the 4 final things, as it's sometimes known. Doesn't mean Offerhat's not a saint, though. He's talking with an Orthodox guy who brought up Immaculate Conception was actually a recent teaching. Didn't know that prior. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's one of those, like, it's not... Sometimes people are like, oh, it was invented in the 19th century. It's like, well, no, actually it has theological origins that go pretty far back. It just was not formally declared. And there is a difference between those 2 things. Generally, the Orthodox answer to any question from a Catholic is either, well, yes, but actually no, or, well, no, but actually yes. It do be like that sometimes. Do you guys believe in this? No, but yes, but kind of, no, but yes. Reminds me of a video I saw once online. It was a non-denominational guy who would go to different Christian churches to talk theology, and not like an antagonistic way or a judgmental way, but like in a genuine, like, hey, I'd love to highlight. You were saying he goes to the Orthodox Church, and it was around Christmas time, and the priest chants one of the antiphons from the Divine Liturgy for the Nativity, and the dude just sits there stunned in silence and goes, "You just dropped like so much beautiful theology in such a short period of time. I'm gonna need a moment to take that all in." Oh, shoot. Oh, I was like, oh, shoot. Oh, wait, I'm going to land in the water. And then I missed the water anyway. Hey, you're most welcome, Squirrel. That was a great question. Happy to answer them. Yeah, I think a couple trees in there, and a few more varieties of flowers, and we're going to have a really nice looking little botanical garden in which to conduct the battle. That's weird. So I see that an ad break is coming up, and Twitch gives you a certain amount of snoozes on your ad breaks. I have not used any in a while, and it says I have 0. Who knows?
Ah, the French.
2 gifted subs. Thanks so much, Squirrel. To Cyprian and Farafo. Thank you for your generosity. My French number at 50. Nice. Nice round number. Nope, that's one too many. Yeah, so I think both layers are going to get the iron bar treatment here. Who's walking in my arena? A cow. And a sheep. You might be referring to my shadow down there. Walking across the center right there. It could have also been a trainer at some point that kind of spawn and despawn. Yeah, it's my shadow. Hey, it's all good. I could totally see, like, that's why when I saw that, I was like, oh, maybe it's my shadow. It is person-shaped. And it, because I'm walking on glass, which doesn't have a shadow, it looked like a person just moseying around in there. Yeah, I think a second layer of the iron bars will look good. And then we'll have the top 4 pieces be like a iron blocks. But yeah, I like how this is turning out. But I think that is where we're going to call it for the day. It's really good progress, actually. So thanks so much for tuning in to Let Us Play. I've been your host, Father Evan. It's been good to be with you all today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Join us again tomorrow for Monkey Island 2, LeChuck's Revenge. Good, fun, humorous game. And then, yeah, I think that's it for the week. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's liked, followed, subscribed, given bits, given subs, all that good jazz. Thank you for checking out the YouTube and the Discord. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and let's see who's live that we can raid into. Sarah is still live. Zsaru. So I'm going to throw you on over to her. She's a fun person. She's playing Dreamlight Valley. Raid call is Father Raid, so go give her some love. Again, hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care. God bless.